Dave Mellis.
Well, thank you, comrades. My name's Marion Lloyd. I'm from PCS and I'm here speaking in a personal capacity. And I'd like to begin by bringing solidarity, and particularly for the inspirational speeches from all of the top table, but certainly Darfield, who I had the pleasure of inviting to my own PCS group conference back in May, who told us about the inspirational struggle that they are waging in Amazon, and also the comrades in St Mungo's, because likewise the PCS Broad Left Network, an organisation that I'm the chair of inside PCS, we also hosted St Mungo's strikers, and I think these speakers are not just brave, the strikers are inspirational and really show us what can be done when we put our minds to it. And I don't think there's any doubt in anybody's mind inside this conference hall, and also for hundreds of thousands of workers up and down the country, that this is the biggest strike wave that I've certainly seen in my trade union activity, which started when I was 16 in 1978. And I think the struggles that we've seen amongst organised workers, unorganised workers, the public and the private sector have really kicked the Tories absolutely where it hurts. And inside my own union, PCS, this is the first national action that we've seen since the brilliant pensions dispute back in 2011. But what is fundamentally different about what we're seeing inside PCS is the fact that you've got new young workers not previously activated in the trade union movement, not just going on strike, not just turning out the vote in the workplace for strike action, but taking their jobs as stewards and reps and members seriously. In my own office in Sheffield, in our first national action, we saw 35 people on the picket line. In Manchester, in my group, we had 30 people on the picket line. In Swindon, we had 25 people on the picket line, and they have never ever before put a picket on to that particular workplace. And I'm sure all of you can give examples of the inspirational work and the inspirational activity that's taking place that is really bringing into activity a whole new level and a whole new layer of new ordinary workers anxious to take on the Tories because they have no choice, because the cost of living crisis is not going anywhere. And there's no doubt in my mind, and it really builds on some of the contributions that have been made from the top table, that this government is in an absolute mess. And I just want to give you one small example of that. In my union, we used to have national pay, which means one set of pay arrangements for everybody that's employed by the civil service. That was taken away by Thatcher, who introduced what we call delegated pay, which was 300 plus different sets of pay talks that take place up and down the civil service amongst our different employers and so on. The strike wave that has taken place has, for the first time in the history of our union, brought the Tories to the table to talk to us. And the fact that they want to talk to probably the poor relations civil service workers inside the public sector tells me how weak and divided they are, and the fact that we have got an opportunity to really drive home the gains that we want to make on behalf of our members. Now, I wish, therefore, that I could come here and say that the PCS leadership was going to drive home those gains, and they were going to escalate so we can get more out of the employer than the 1,500 non-consolidated amount that is currently being paid to us, whether we pull off the strikes or not. I really wish that I could say that. But unfortunately, comrades, it is absolutely clear to everybody, not just the leadership of the union itself, not just the activist layer, but hundreds of thousands of reps and members in our offices, that the national union leadership is unfortunately intent on breaking down and rallying down our strike. Who in their right mind, I've been a negotiator for nearly 45 years, who in their right mind gets an offer that's going to be paid anyway and de-escalates the action that is currently on the table? We've seen them suspend the current selective action that's being taken place up and down the country. Brave workers putting their necks on the line, day in, day out, now being let down by the current PCS leadership. Suspending the reballots of those members that needs to take place because the 6 months are currently up. Ratcheting down the campaigning work that we've been doing over the last period. In my opinion, they've already made a series of mistakes. Not calling national action at all was their first port of call, but we, under the pressure and building the pressure and the momentum in the workplace, forced the National Union to call national action, but they still waited 3 months to do it, with only one person, our person, on the National Executive Committee voting against those tactics and those strategy. Now contrast the nature of this leadership now with the leadership in PCS that took place and was in place in 2011, where the PCS National Executive, an executive that I was proud to be part of for 23 years, called national action, coordinated throughout the trade union movement and fought bravely to bring together ordinary working class people through the trade union movement to fight on pensions. But also contrast what is there in terms of the confidence and consciousness of members. In my own area, I work in the business department, hardly the hotbed of militant action, although there's been quite a bit in my group actually over the last period. But contrast that. I and my colleagues inside my particular group, we have organised day in, day out, all through COVID, all through the pay ballots, and we have consistently had turnouts in members' meetings of 500, 600, 700, 800, 900 people, consistently each and every month throughout the whole of that period. But you could see the rot set in with the current leadership during COVID, where they parked the national pay claim in the interest of national unity. What an absolute indictment of a so-called socialist-led union. But the job that we have played inside, and the role that we have played inside PCS, not just with activists like myself, but linking up with other reps and activists and workers of like-mindedness, we have forced this leadership into calling national action. And I'm sure that we will force them into doing what they should do in terms of this national ballot and this national campaign. Because it is the members who have voted to take strike action. It is the members who have voted with their feet and come out on strike. It is the members who have sacrificed money and pensions and days on picket lines fighting on behalf of ordinary working class people. So therefore, in our view, in my view, it is the members who determine whether or not this dispute will end. And I'm confident in the members of PCS, because I believe that if we do our work properly, if we intervene properly, then we will win any ballot that's called, and we have already organised membership meeting after membership meeting after membership meeting, telling the National Union that they are wrong. And in my, not just my feeling, but my whole experience is that where we have a confidence in the working class, where we have a confidence in the members of our unions, that we are in the right and our opposition is in the wrong. And we will fight and we will build, and comrades, we will win.